The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Forest Grove, Oregon, on your new fire apparatus, job number 31317. Please utilize this job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Let's start down at the front bumper. We'll start on the left side. You'll find dual air horns on the right and left. Moving just inward of that location, you'll find two forward-facing emergency lights. Located in the center, you'll find your mechanical siren. And then moving all the way to the right side, which would be the driver's side, you'll find your PA speaker and electronic siren. Moving to the left on the passenger side is where you'll find your bell. This is rope controlled through the inside of the cab. Also moving up onto the body, you'll find right and left turn signals, your headlight cluster. Low beam will be on the outer edge and the high beam will be on the inside. Moving up from that location, you'll find two emergency warning lights. Located behind the Pierce logo, you'll find the latch to release the hood. Once the hood is in the up position, you'll find on the passenger side, you'll find your fill location for your windshield wipers. Moving to the right, you'll find the cab raise instructions, selector switch in red for raise or lower the cab, push button which is in yellow and black and is a tied remote to the apparatus, and then moving to the right hand side in the corner, the power steering reservoir. We'll go ahead and look just over the cab, just a general view here. We'll talk about some of these items here and break down some of those things individually. Let's first start the very top with some warning lights on the right and left side. You'll also find located on the cab itself emergency warning light bar. Moving up onto the front, you'll find step lights, and just underneath the rubber section here you'll find 5 running lights. Let's go ahead and move back up to the top. You'll find your Opticom located in this area. You'll also find side-facing emergency warning lights. And then as we move just to the center, you'll find a center forward-facing floodlight. Let's look underneath this area. First, you'll find 2 floodlights. You'll also find located in this red area, this is going to be where the location of the drain is. And then as you move back further, you'll find the actual sprinkler. Moving to the very back of the apparatus, you'll find 2 attachment points and also bumpers located in the front. Let's go ahead and move around to the side of the apparatus. This is where you'll find a bullet-style side-facing camera. Looking in the side window, you'll also find information here regarding your SRS system, which is your airbag system. And also you'll find your auto charger when plugged into shore power. You also find emergency warning lights on the side of the body. Just to the right of that, you'll find 2 locations on the passenger and driver side for the storage location for your folding wheel chocks. At the very top is where you'll find your AC unit. Moving back, you'll find on the right and left side also adjustable side-facing floods. Moving up to the very top of the apparatus, you'll find near the cylinder, you'll find your tracking lights and also your informational lights for establishing where the location of your outriggers will post. Moving up into the first compartment, we're going to find this red fan. This is to distribute air throughout the compartments. You'll also find a locking mechanism. There are 2 black releases and also this lock to allow that door to side to side. Just beneath, you'll find a rollout shelf with push lever on the right hand side. You'll also find your generator information and also the timing system for that air ventilation system. Moving further down, we'll talk a little bit about some of the items underneath that. but I would like to point out your breaker box for your shore power inlet. It's got some close-ups here of some of those images. This is the fan system here, which allows the circulation of air within inside your compartments. Moving down to the lower section earlier on the image, you'll find your air outlet and also the air shutoff. This is the mechanism here for allowing you to set the timer for your air vent system. And then this is going to be the command center here for your generated power for amps line 1 and amps line 2. This is going to be the continuous ratings of power. This is for the generator specifically. You can see it says continuous power supply rating. Just beneath that, you'll find G1, which stands for your generator, and these are the breakers associated with those. You also have an additional folding ladder located in the top section of this compartment. Just next to the compartment itself, you'll find your cord rewind. This is a 200-foot 20-amp cord. There is a breaker within that box. Once again, we've already mentioned these are those tracking lights for your outriggers. You'll also find, because those outriggers move and close, you will find the potential pinch hazard, so there is a warning placard. You'll also find shoreline outlet 20-amp plug just inside that first compartment. And in all of your compartments, you'll find the roll-up doors have LED lights on the side. We're now indicating here the diesel exhaust DEF. This is a 4.5 US gallons. It is a blue cap. Let's move to the other cap for your diesel. This is going to be your ultra low sulfur diesel. This is a silver cap, and this is where your fill location is for your engine. Moving up to the long compartment here, you will find a danger placard. This is once again regarding that your aerial could contact electrical activity and therefore energize the rest of your apparatus. As we move through some of the compartments here, you'll find bottle storage and secure straps. You'll also find, once again, LED lighting throughout all of your compartments. Just underneath the rear section of the compartments is where you'll find the pads for your outriggers. And then just in the step area is where you'll find your inclinometer regarding 0 to 15 degrees, positive or negative. Located inside that step area is where you'll find your relief valve setting. Just on top of this light, you'll find a placard here regarding that this is not intended to be a step area. Let's look to the rear of the apparatus. You'll find safety ballards at the very top for firefighter safety. You'll also find additional warning and danger and hazard labels. Please familiarize yourself with those placards. As we move through, you'll also find a placard regarding pressurized caps and associated hazards when releasing those caps. You'll also find additional attachment point hazard labels regarding, or warning labels regarding, the points of attachment. Inside this cupped area is where you'll find your deck lights. You'll also find your backup, reverse, turn indicator, and emergency warning light in this cluster. Once again, this is the warning label regarding pressurized caps and the associated hazards. As we move to the right, you'll find your aerial inlet. That is the Pierce logo American flag eagle. Just up from that, you'll find the gauge here regarding the aerial inlet pressure. And then to the right, you'll also find your inclinometer from 0 to 15 degrees. Moving further to the right, you'll find that label that I informed you of earlier. This is regarding the attachment point and not to pull upward. Moving to the right, you'll find all of your indicators for the types of ladders that are stowed within inside the roll-up compartment, and we'll talk a little bit about what's behind the aerial drain. You have your aerial drain just inside. Do not cap this. As we move, you'll find in this compartment the ability to operate your aerial stabilizers. There's a diagnostic interface, power stabilizers, and override, in addition with an emergency stop. Moving from left to right, you'll find the diagnostic interface. You'll find once you've powered up the device, you'll find stabilizer power activated. And then you have a protected override in addition with a red emergency stop.
Let's look down into the compartment itself at the remote. This gives you the ability to step away and view both right and left side of the apparatus while functioning with the remote. First, let's start. You have a power indicator that you have power to the actual remote itself. And then you'll also find stabilizer's not stowed indicator. There are also a tremendous amount of lights here indicating that you have green lights, indicating that the front, for example, stabilizer is fully extended and downward pressure has been applied. This is the compartment which houses all of your ladders, in addition with long tool storage. For example, here is a 6 and 8 foot pike pole. Let's move just up from this location. This is where you're going to find your running lights to the rear. You'll also find just up from those running lights the orange or yellow traffic advisor lights, and then just above that is where you'll find your backup camera. This can be adjusted depending on how you'd like to view from that image. As we move around to the right side of the apparatus, you'll find a shore power plug. This is going to be a 20 amp plug. When plugged into Shoreline outlet, this will activate. You'll also find the task force tips. This is the remote regarding that, whether you choose to operate remotely. Let's go ahead and move between the two rear tires, the duals. You'll find bottle storage location for your SCBA bottles. They also have retaining straps. As we move to the center, I would like to remind you that when your aerial apparatus has been removed from the bed, there is a likelihood of electrical hazard. Moving forward, I would like to point out this warning label regarding superheated exhaust temperatures and to be cautious as to where you park your apparatus. Once again, you have additional Shoreline outlets. This is a 20 amp in the compartment just forward of that exhaust. You also have your 200 foot 20 amp cord reel rewind. This is your through compartment. We talked about those items on the other side with the little giant ladder system, and also down in the lower right hand corner. This was your outlet for air, and also the air shutoff, which is a twist, not a pull. Since we're on the passenger side, this mirrors portions of the driver's side. We indicated earlier that the floodlights, they're also on the driver's side and passenger side. You'll find turn indicator. This will illuminate with your camera inside on the MUX system. Located also within this compartment area, you'll find your emergency aerial power switch or diverter switch for stabilizers. You'll also find a laid out schematic here at the bottom for the rear stabilizer manual operation, and also your front stabilizer manual operation. Those are the control levers. On the left, this is merely an indication switch that the compartment has been opened. You'll also find a stand clear when this step is unlatched. As we look inside this, you'll find your air for your breathing air. This is the adjustment for it, and also the refill location. Similar to the stabilizer and outrigger controls, you have aerial controls. This is the extend, retract, right and left, and raise and lower. There is also an emergency stop PTO switch. Please familiarize yourself in the owner's manual regarding the use of these. Moving on to the pedestal, you'll find an audible speaker. This is to communicate to the tip. You'll also find you have a warning buzzer. And then there are also informational placards on the right hand side here, and then just beneath an additional breathing air outlet. There is an access panel here. Let's take a look behind the access panel. You'll find a set of fuses. As we get to that slide here in just a moment, you'll find your basket level for auto or manual, and also the manual level. Let's now move up to the pedestal itself. You'll find on the left-hand side first that you should read the owner's manual prior to operation, that only trained personnel should be operating this device. At the very top, we're broken down into two sections here. First, the emergency stop section here and the MUX system, which has all of your lights and under basket lighting. As you can see here, there are 5 red switches here on your MUX system. This is for your command zone, and you can scroll through each one of those menus. Down on the left, we have 3 distinct areas. First, your valve control, and then nozzle control, and to the right, ladder control. For communications, you have a push-to-talk communication. It's the ACT intercom system. This is by FRC. It has increase or decrease volume at the tip also. And on the left-hand side of this cover, you'll find your waterway dry and waterway charged. These are tables here to help assist you when flowing water or not flowing water, and also monitor nozzle positions. Also would like to point out there are some asterisks down here that you should familiarize yourself also regarding icing and other indications. Located on the left-hand side of the aerial ladder, you'll find your inclinometer from 0 to 10 negative or from 0 to 80. Here's just a quick image of your 3 sections of the aerial ladder. On the tip fly, you'll find a 14-foot roof ladder. You'll also find attachment points throughout the bucket area for firefighter safety while attaching while in operation. In the upper left-hand corner, you'll find an emergency stop push button. You'll also find your controls for your aerial ladder here, as you do just down at the base. On the right, you'll find your MUX system here. There are selector switches to scroll through the menus. And on the left-hand side, this cover plate is for your generated power. Here's once again the emergency stop, broken down into 4 sections: nozzle control, your front basket lights, aerial speed, and also your monitor valve, open or closed. Let's go ahead and take a look at the controls. There is a release mechanism. Push that toward the front of the apparatus. Releasing this entire box allows you to move around so that you can visualize while operation. You also have your MUX system, and down in the lower corner, your breathing air, and just to the left of it, an audible alarm. As we move all the way to the left-hand side, you'll find a 20 amp plug, and then you'll also find in this vicinity your intercom speaker, which has volume control. As we look around throughout the bucket, you'll find once again warning placards and also danger and hazard placards. Please familiarize yourself with those prior to operation. As we move through, you'll also find storage locations. This is for light storage. There is specific ratings for your ladder. Familiarize yourself with those. As we move down to the lower section, you'll find an additional 20 amp outlet. And now let's review some of the things on the exterior of the bucket also. First, let's start in the very front. You have a TFT Task Force tip, which is your monitor. You have outlets for both 1.5 and 2.5 inch. Let's move down to the lower section. This is the activation for that underbody sprinkler. And then as we move to the side of the apparatus, you will find when you're walking on the side these yellow indicators regarding the edge. This is your hydraulic AC generator. I would like to point out the fill location in the upper left-hand corner. Slung underneath the main section of the aerial ladder, you'll find your breathing air. These are the 2 bottles and the valve on and off. As we move to the cab, you will find at all points of entry for personnel additional warning labels. Please familiarize yourself with those. And I would like to point out the warning labels and hazard labels down in the lower right-hand corner. There also is a manufacturer by Pierce, and we'll look at that in just a few moments. Here's a close-up of those labels. It has to do with seat belts and all of the other types of hazards associated with firefighting and driving a large fire apparatus. Moving down to the step areas where you'll find your shore power inlet. Moving down, you'll find your brake and accelerator. You'll find your air horn and mechanical siren foot pedals. And then just up on the left knee, we'll start with some of the gauges here. First, this is your tech module plug-in. Just beneath that, you'll find your engine and transmission ABS diagnostic ports, and then also a display port for your diagnostics. Down in the lower section, you'll find your ABS diagnostic and engine diagnostic. You'll also find your engine inhibit and DPF region switches. Let's move back to that original label here, the City of Forest Grove. This is manufactured by Pierce. You'll find your job number, date of manufacture, gross vehicle weight ratings, in addition with tire pressures. You'll also find your VIN number located here, and all of your fluid components and the types of components and the types of fluids required. Let's move to the left side here. This is your quarter turn red battery switch. This is the master battery switch. To the opposite side of the column, you'll find your interaxle differential lock. When it is locked, you'll find it indicated in red. On the left side, you'll find your ignition, start, and hazard. Moving just inside of that location, you'll find your emergency master, your headlights and parking lights, and also a panel rocker switch for dimming and brightening the panel lights. Standard windshield wiper functions and also headlight functions. On the right, you'll find an OK to engage the high idle and then the switch for that. As we move to the dash area, you'll find in the center your tachometer and speedometer. To the left, you'll find your transmission, oil, DEF, and water temperature. And to the right, you'll find your volts, fuel, front and rear air. And then above the speedometer, you'll find diagnostic information above and below. General view of the dash next. We'll talk about those individual components next. Let's first start with the MUX system. This is the Pierce Command Zone area. Significant amount of information at your fingertips. Familiarize yourself with that. This is your Allison transmission pad. Moving to the right, you'll find controls for the driver's side window, passenger side window, and then the rear cab windows also. There are two future locations just to the right of that. We'll move down to the next. You have an engine brake on and off, low, medium, and high, your off-road traction, and your mirror heat. Moving further to the right, down at the lower section, you will find your mirror controls, and you will find these caution labels here regarding disengage the retarder when the vehicle is on wet or slippery surfaces, and also a minimum speed for your generator operation at 700 RPMs. Just above the mirror controls is where you'll find your aerial master, the aerial PTO, the platform leveling, and also your generator PTO, your stabilizer light locations, and also the load manager. Moving to the center of the cab, you'll find your climate control for heat and air conditioning and also defrost. Over the operator's head, you'll find this yellow placard regarding the height, length, and gross vehicle weight rating. This is as it comes from the manufacturer with no alterations or changes. It also has your job number 31317. You'll also find that on that original Pierce placard. Let's look overhead at some of the items here. We'll break down some of those items next. Let's first start all the way on the left-hand side first with your emergency master, roof light, front warning, and side warning. As we move down to the next set of switches, you'll find your lower rear warning, upper rear warning, the Opticom, which is on the bucket, and also your siren brake. Let's move slightly to the right of this panel. This is where you'll find your electronic siren control, driver's side flood, passenger side flood, the deck lights, and also your driver's side scene, passenger side scene, a future switch location if you need, and also your perimeter lights. Moving once again in the driver's seat, moving to the right, you'll find your Whelen. This is your PA system and also your siren control. Moving to the right, you'll find your traffic advisor. As we move further to the right, you'll find your Pierce indicator regarding the seatbelt, which is also on the MUX system. Red indicating someone is in the seat, although they are not belted. Green indicating that they are in the seat and that they are properly belted. Also, you'll find the VIN number of your vehicle located on the A-pillar driver's side. That's next to the grab handle. Let's just take a quick general view through the apparatus. As we notice, all points of entry, once again, the placards for warning and hazards. As we look into the center of this cab, you'll find also two seats forward-facing SCBA. Just to the rear of the operator, you'll also find your battery tender and also shore power. Located in the center between the two rear-facing seats, you'll find the transmission and oil check location. You'll find on the outer edges shore power outlets, 20 amp, and also a 12 volt bus terminal. General view here of the operator's seat. Passenger seat. And you will notice that your vehicle is equipped with a supplemental restraint system. There was a large placard on the driver's side. You'll also find the locations of where those airbags are located. Up onto the dash itself, you'll find 12 volt access. This is a barrel style, which is the chrome one. At the very top, you'll find a blue seat, which is a USB style. Moving just forward of that location is your vehicle data recorder port. And then overhead, you'll find this, difficult to see in this image, but it is a red indicator. If there is a compartment or something open, this will flash, indicating not to move the apparatus. In the rear of the apparatus, the two forward-facing seats, you'll find a Blue Sea 12 volt access. This is a USB charging station location. Underneath that, you'll find storage locations underneath those two seats. Moving forward, you'll find your glove box for additional storage location. Congratulations, Forest Grove, Oregon, on your new fire apparatus, job number 31317. If you have any questions as to the content of this video, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.